All right, y'all. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you're tuning in. I'm grateful to have you here. And we got Joe Rogan back in the building, but this time he's breaking down his stance on abortion versus Seth Dillon, the owner and CEO of the Babylon Bee. It would be considered like a conservative Christian news satire website, according to the interwebs. But I'll give my thoughts and biblical breakdown towards the end, so stay tuned for that. Let's get it popping.
I'm pretty absolute when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And not just free speech amongst every subject, not just amongst a woman's right to choose or abortion laws.
Yeah.
And this idea that you can't have someone who is a Christian who talks to another person who's a Christian and maybe they were on the fence about something and you convince them to have a child and it's the best decision they have ever made in their life and they love their kids so much they couldn't imagine they were thinking about getting an abortion.
Right.
That's real too.
Yeah.
That's real too. There's also women who have been raped who should not have to fucking carry some rapist baby. There's women who have been sexually assaulted before the age of 14.
There's also, hold on though.
But hold on, don't stop me.
Okay.
That's real too. And we all have to agree. We have to agree on both of those things.
There are also, though, I'm not going to argue with you on that point, but I will say there are people who have been born of rape and are alive right now and are pro-life. And they go around speaking, talking about how I had a right to live. And they will go out there and make an argument, a pro-life case. And they're born of a rape.
You don't have a right to tell a 14-year-old girl she has to carry a rapist baby.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that's real too. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't have the right to tell my 14-year-old daughter she has to carry her rapist baby. You understand that?
To look that woman in the eye who was born of a rape.
Do you understand that? That's a 14-year-old child. If a 14-year-old child gets raped, you say that they have to carry that baby?
I don't think two wrongs make a right. I don't think murder. I don't think murder is an answer to. I don't think murder fixes a rape.
What if we're talking about an abortion when the fetus, literally, it's like 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 days? What if she just turned positive just now? Positive for pregnancy.
Life at conception.
I just disagree that.
What if it just happened today?
You can draw a line on when.
You can't.
Like, once life has begun, I don't think you draw
at the very
lines.
moment. Like if someone came inside of someone and they cracked the egg and then bam, they took Plan B. You shouldn't do that.
Well, I mean, that's if it's preventing the pregnancy from occurring. That's different.
It's an abortion. That's what Plan B is. It makes your body abort the conceived pregnancy. That's what it does.
Is it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure. Let's Google it. I know that women used to do something similar. They would take like a shit ton of birth control pills.
If it prevents the conception, it's different than if it's terminating.
No, it's terminating.
Yeah.
I'm 90% sure it's terminating. I think it's after conception. That's what the whole idea about. That's why it's Plan B. Plan A is don't get pregnant. Plan B.
All I'm saying is it's real. It's real. What you're saying is real, and those are tough situations. It's also real that sometimes these babies are born and they do and they grow up to be real people with feelings. They're alive. They're humans, and they're pro-life. Most of them.
Can we click on that so I get the full sentence? Because it seems like it keeps going. All right, here it is. The morning after pill is a type of emergency birth control contraception. Emergency contraception is used to prevent pregnancy for women who've had unprotected sex or whose birth control method has failed.
Right,
morning after pill is intended for backup contraception only, not as a primary method of birth control. Morning after pills contain either levonorgestrel.
That's a long one, Joe. I'm with you.
Or ulipristal acetate. Levonorgestrel.
Sound it out now.
You want to try it? Try that. Try that word.
Levonorgestrel.
Levonorgestrel. Is available over the counter without a prescription, but go to the part where we were reading in the synopsis that here it is, right there. Keep in mind, the morning after pill isn't the same as blah, 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 also known as RU486 or the abortion pill.
Wait. Morning after pills do not end a pregnancy that has implanted. They work primarily by delaying or preventing ovulation.
Yeah, we're talking about, I was talking about a different thing.
Come on now.
I was talking about RU486. This drug terminates an established pregnancy, one in which the fertilized egg has attached to the uterine wall and has begun to develop. Okay.
Right.
So forget about Plan B. What about RU486? It's the same question. The same question is if someone knows they're pregnant or if they test positive for pregnancy and they take a pill that can get rid of that like the day of, you're against that.
I would lay it out like this. I would say it is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human life. Abortion intentionally kills an innocent human life. Therefore, abortion is wrong. And I don't think any of the I don't think any of the examples of like, oh, well, how developed is it? You know, can it think? Is it conscious? Can it dream? Can it feel pain?
So for you, it's the moment of conception.
I think that if it's a human life, a distinct human life, then I think it's wrong to end its life. And
so you think that do you think that once the conception happens, there's some sort of a miraculous event, like at the very moment, like you could literally get to the point where the sperm cracks the egg. If you could scoop that egg out right there, would that be abortion?
Well, I mean, at some point you're going to have to say there was a magic moment that happened because you believe that we eventually become valuable humans, right?
Well, listen,
where's the moment where you think the magic happens?
Let me tell you my perspective on this, because I've said this multiple times, but it bears repeating. I think abortion is a very human issue in that we're messy, and it's a very messy issue. It's complicated. Bill Burr has a very good bit about it in his last comedy special, where he says, "I agree with your right to choose, but it's also killing a baby."
Right.
You know, and it's a very
I like that bit. It's a good bit.
Fantastic.
He's talking about the oven, you know, baking something in the oven. Yeah.
When you talk about like someone who's at 6 months or 9 months, that gets crazy. That's like you're literally killing a baby. You're killing a baby that could exist outside the womb.
What if rape produced it and it's 8 months old in the womb?
It's a good question. That's also what makes it a very, very messy conversation.
It's tough.
You know, there was a story that came out recently.
He didn't answer it.
That someone had said that this woman got in trouble for having an abortion because they got a hold of her Facebook messages. And then my wife sent me the actual story. The actual story was it was a late term thing, and she was trying to poison the baby. But the actual story is that she took medication online. She had a miscarriage because of that medication. She took stuff to kill her abortion, to start the abortion rather. And then her and her mom buried the stillborn. Investigators seeking a warrant said they later learned her mother had bought the oral medication online to end her daughter's pregnancy. That information was gathered in part from but find out how far along she was. Because I think she was far along. And that's where it gets crazy. 23 weeks. Perhaps as long as 29 weeks. Wow.
It's crazy when you kill a baby.
Under Nebraska
at
law,
any weeks.
abortions are legal up to 20 weeks.
God bless Seth, man. The dude is absolutely spot on. I couldn't agree with him more. And a baby's life has value once conception happens. Now, whether you believe in Plan B or not, when you kill a life, no matter if that's 1 week, 2 days, whenever the baby is formed, God formed that baby in the womb. So it's a blessing. That's when it becomes an abortion. Now, I don't think that's right on any level, any weeks, any way you chop it up. Literally, that's what happens. I think every teenager should be shown a dismemberment and extraction to illustrate what abortion really looks like and what it consists of. Whether you fear the Lord or not, if you have a clear conscience and can allow that to be done to an unborn, innocent baby, then you, ma'am, have a lot of evil staring back at you in the mirror. And raped or not, killing a life, in my book, makes you just as bad, if not worse, than the scumbag who violently attacked you. Now, I'm not surprised by the surge in pro-choicers out there today in society, because simultaneously, there's been a skyrocket in men and women not having personal responsibility. They both sides want to have carefree sex and don't want to have to raise that child after conceptions. They want a free pass and an easy way out. God knew that baby before it was formed in the womb, and God created men and women in his own image. So I can't suggest any sort of way out, but I do have 4 options for any woman out there pregnant or practicing without thinking. Number 1, being abstinence, not just tossing it out there to any man just because you think he's going to love you, because if you get physical, you give that affection away. Instead, waiting for one that will be faithful and a father if you both decide that's how you want your lives to look, with a baby in it. That's abstinence. And that's not a very popular one, but that is an option. Number 2 being birth control. That's everyone's favorite. I know, right? Condoms, the pill, etc. I'm not talking about Plan B. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about condoms specifically, being prepared before you initiate in the adult act of having sex, of having intercourse, laying down with a person. You need to make sure they strap up. The pull and pray method does not count, just in case you didn't know that. That's also in the irresponsible category. Number 3, adoption. Give somebody else a chance to raise that child. Allow somebody else who may not be able to get pregnant, who's been trying, and it's a responsible family, a 2-parent household, that's preferable. Allow those people to have a chance to raise the child that you might not have the financial means or the resources or abilities to do so at that time. Maybe you can build a relationship with that child down the line, or maybe, you want to completely distance yourself. At least you give that child a chance to live and a chance for another family to raise them up to be a successful man or woman someday. And number 4 is my personal favorite: raise the child and be the best godly example of a parent you can be. Because for all the bad out here, if you just hold on long enough, the good will outweigh the bad, and that child will probably change your life, almost guaranteed, in the best ways. It'll allow you to mature. It'll force you to grow up, make big boy, big girl decisions, and then you're not just out looking for yourself, your own selfish tendencies. Another life is counting on you. You have another dependent that you have to get right. You have to make things right, or you don't, and then I think you're just as big of a scumbag as anybody else. But if you have the chance to raise a child, why not take that on? No matter what the age, if you have the chance to do so, raise that child, man. Love that child. Change that child's life how somebody may not have changed yours. Whatever bad situations you got going on, you don't need to take that on the child. That child shouldn't be the cause and effect of the situations that you've been put in. I'm sorry that you've had it rough. I'm sorry that something happened to you, but I know God made things right with that silver lining of a baby, whether it's a boy or a girl. You can raise it up to be an awesome and amazing human being. And if you're new, I always have to take it back to scripture, because I can rant at you all day long, but if I don't keep it in the foundation of truth, the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth, then I'm doing a disservice. And this is what changed my life, and I have to share the gospel, and I have to allow God's words to speak to somebody out there. 2 of my favorite passages where God really emphasizes the value of life in the womb and his compassionate care for the preborn that are found in Jeremiah 1, verse 4 and 5, and Isaiah 49, verse 1. So we'll start with the one from Jeremiah 1, verse 4 and 5. Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. That was the Lord speaking to Isaiah while he was in the womb. And then Isaiah was spoken to in Isaiah 49, verse 1. The Lord called me from the womb. From the body of my mother, he named my name. That's not made up by me, y'all. That's from God's perspective. And he's saying that there is no barrier between prenatal and postnatal life. So God sees life from the moment of conception. Whenever that happens, whenever 2 people get together and do that act, whether it's forced or whether it's mutual and consensual, God allowed that thing to happen, and life has came from it. Conception, that's when life happens. So don't try to set all these things about like, oh, no, it's not viable. This isn't viable. At this point, it becomes viable. People outside the womb, you can be placed in the forest. If you can't create your own food, if you can't build your own house, if you can't do this, that, and the third, is anybody really viable? Because there's grown folks every single day that can't do certain things. So what makes a person viable? That's a horrible excuse. And at conception, that's when life happens, according to God, according to the Almighty, my Savior, the one who created all things, you and I alike. So that's what I'm sticking to. The biblical idea that God can form a personal relationship with his people in the womb is further evidence that preborn children possess full personhood. And ladies, I have to give y'all one final message and word of encouragement, just in case you've been down in the dumps and the right man hasn't found you yet. Just know it's all going to come together. Just like the book of Ruth out of the Bible, she found her Boaz. You never know when it's going to happen, when God's going to place that person in front of you. You don't know why and can't fathom why things happen the way they do. So whoever left you in the past, that just means that they weren't part of God's plan for you in your current season. Doesn't mean that person's bad. Doesn't mean that you should hate that person. It simply means that God doesn't build on your past and your preferences. He works it all together and us all together for the greater good of his kingdom. He makes the call, not you, not I. But I know some of y'all may disagree with my take on it. I would love to hear your thoughts down below, whether you agree or disagree. Let's be civil. Let's be respectful. We're all entitled our own opinion. We all got a few of them like elbows. Everybody's got a few, just like Joe, just like Seth, just like whoever's watching this video. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Let's keep this conversation rolling. Share this video. You get it out in front of other people, whether you agree with my take or disagree with it. It'll allow other people to think for themselves. If you like these sort of videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all future ones that I post. If you see and like this shirt that I'm wearing, it was made by my lovely wife. It says Isaiah 54 verse 17, forged in his strength, and then the entire verse, you can go read it for yourself, whatever version you prefer, whatever resonates with you. But this was made by my wife. So if you want one, fill out the Google form down below. You can get it in t-shirt form, this long sleeve hoodie form, multiple different colors available. Fill out that question Google form that I got down below, and I'll get you all set up. And if you want to support my channel, you can always tap that thanks button, has a little heart next to it, via YouTube. You can buy me a coffee, donate on PayPal. You don't have to do anything like that at all, just showing up. I appreciate you tuning in, and whatever we've developed developed, friendship, hate, whatever it is since I've been on your screen. I'm grateful, and I'm still going to be praying for you. All my other links are down below in the description. Books I recommend, products I use to make these videos happen, brands that support me and allow me to do what I do. I love all of y'all, and again, I can rant all day about this sort of topic right here. I appreciate Joe for the conversation. I appreciate Seth for standing on Christian values, godly values. And no matter where you're at in this world, keep on pushing, keep on praying, and know that you're here right now on the right side of the grass for a reason. Be a good person, lift up society, love God, and the world will be a whole lot better of a place. Stop taking life for granted. Stop taking life in general. Appreciate it, take care of it, nourish it, and the world will be a whole lot better off. But again, I love y'all. I'm praying for you. Until next time, Godspeed. I'm gone.